Hey everyone, welcome back to the OC Imaging Podcast. I'm your host, OC. This is episode 3, and my guest with me today is Michael Lynch. He's a photographer and a videographer and a personal friend of mine. We've known each other for years. We've shot videos together. We've worked together. We've shot photos together. Michael, go ahead, give them a brief introduction as to who is Michael Lynch and what Lynch Photography offers.
Who's Michael Lynch and what does Lynch Photography offer? Michael Lynch is an individual who is obsessed with cars, to be honest. I'm a certified mechanic. I started off doing servicing for a major company for about 3 years, then branched off into doing sales, dabbled a bit in some photography with my phone, fell in love with it because everybody was saying you're good at it, and it eventually became a profession. The things I learned doing the automotive photography has been applied to doing other photography, which is like portraits, weddings, a few product stuff, and events. So I'm a photographer.
Okay. All right. And well, of course, the OC Imaging podcast focuses on videography, and obviously Michael is here, so he does videography as well. Just give us an insight as to how you started in videography.
Um, I think most photographers end up branching off into videography, and it's normally for a few reasons. One is because you felt like you've plateaued in photography and there's something more you could offer. Two is because the market asks for it as well. So in order to be able to be diverse, you find that you teach yourself videography as well. The two are very similar yet extremely different. So I got into videography, one, because I started a YouTube channel, and two, it was another stream of income within the creative platform that could be added.
And of course, I'll try to add his socials, but go ahead with your socials. It's early in the podcast for it, but why not?
So Lynch Photography is the kind of the primary one. If you hop on that page, you're gonna see like be a car, most of the cars, and a few reels here and there. There's another one called Lynch Portraits, which has most of the people. And then for YouTube, it's the Jamaican car guy. I've considered linking the Lynch Photography page to the Jamaican car guy page and kind of making them one name, but I haven't fully let go of the Lynch Photography name because my last name, which is Lynch, means a lot to me.
All right. Now, I forgot my question. Anyways,
Good.
so like I've said, we are coming from far, like very early in my photography. Yeah, very early in my photography career, so to say. I met Michael, and those days Michael was shooting with a Nikon 33
D3400.
D3400.
Yeah.
How were videos on that camera?
I did not do videos on that camera at all. That camera was interesting that you bring that up. So when I just started, or when I was just about to take photography seriously, I had a Redmi Note 6 Pro. That's a phone. It's a Xiaomi Redmi Note 6 Pro. And that phone took some killer photos. I still have some of them on my Instagram up to date. When I started getting the compliments regarding my photography, my style, my angles, and my vision, I went ahead and I posted in my Instagram stories that I was looking for a camera, and I posted the budget I had, which was like about 60 grand at the time, Jamaican, because we know so we have some overseas listeners and watch. 60 grand, and somebody reached out saying they had a camera selling. It was the Nikon D3400. I got it along with two kit lens and a prime lens at 18 to 55, f3.5 to I think it's a 5.4, 5.6, yeah.
5.6.
I got I think it was 100 to 200 zoom lens or something like that, yeah. And I got the 50 millimeter 1.8 prime lens with that camera. And believe me, I got some compliments because people call Nikon potato, and that's fine.
Especially if it's not one of the bigger Nikons like the D750,
I
610 and stuff like that.
I see Nikon as one of the grandfathers of photography. Still making moves in the photography game right now. I'm not a camera guru, but Nikon is one of those grandfathers of photography. And your gear doesn't necessarily make you. You make a gear. So I punched out some killer stuff out of that D3400, especially with the kit lens I had. Yo, yeah, man, yeah. I punched out some killer stuff with that camera.
Yeah, I can speak on that. Some of the photos when we just met and he told me that it was a kit lens and I saw for myself. For that example, that time we went out with the Mini Cooper.
Oh,
the Mini Cooper, yeah.
And I did some rolling shots.
Yeah. Like that was pretty early in my photography career, but it was very good for me because if you watch YouTube, which YouTube is basically what taught me how to shoot photos and videos. Yeah. YouTube. And if you really follow the YouTubers, what they really kind of push into your mind is that you need to have the latest and the greatest. And crop sensor is garbage and kit lenses are garbage. You need a 1.4, and the funny thing is when you get a 1.4, you probably never use it at 1.4 because it's not very particularly sharp. I mean, that doesn't go for all of them, but yeah, earlier, like from those days, I appreciated meeting you and seeing you do all of that with that camera and that lens, and realize that really and truly the gear doesn't matter, it's the vision.
It's true.
It's the vision that you have.
I could add to that. It's not so much where the YouTubers push on you to say get the latest gear. It was more a personal thing where you will see the YouTubers with all these high-end gear and you feel like you need them to make your work look better. And people have reached out to me as well. Yo, what you use, shoot this, how you get it so sharp, da-da-da-da-da. And then you end up comparing yourself and your work to somebody that has some high-end gear. And you feel like what you have, because it's inferior in quality, you as a creative can't necessarily stand up to what somebody with some higher end gear does have. And I can tell you that's not true. You're not as good as your gear is as good as you.
Yeah. And it's pretty late into the podcast for this, but the topic today on episode 3 of the OC Imaging podcast is transitioning from photos to video. Okay. So Michael, of course, mainly a photographer, or he was, and he has now transitioned over to doing mostly videos.
Yeah. I still do a lot of photography as well, but videos are paying the bills.
What more can you ask for?
And, special shout out to Yannick.
Okay. I don't know this Yannick per se, but okay. I'm joking. Yannick, big up to you. Also put some respect on Xiaomi for the persons who only know Samsung and iPhones as phone. Yeah, Xiaomi been around, Xiaomi been doing their thing, and put some respect on Xiaomi. Huh? Yeah, they made a car.
Yeah.
Xiaomi made a car. That was crazy. That was crazy. All right, so seeing as we are on the topic of the camera that you use, walk us through your camera evolution and what each of them was for, the reason behind getting each of them.
Oh. All right, so first camera was my smartphone. I think that the first one that I started dabbling with photos with was Samsung, one of them low budget Samsung phone. I don't remember any name. Low budget Samsung phone. I thought the photos were amazing on that. Then the Xiaomi was next. And the only reason that Xiaomi was bought was because the brethren who had tagged along with me to purchase the phone was impatient. And when the Indian guy say, yo, get this, him say, yeah, man, a good phone, man. Good brand, good brand, good brand. And turns out that the camera was amazing and the phone was okay. Next was the D3400. Now that was when it started to get real. That was when you start realizing that, oh, you can shoot in RAW, which is a larger file format, which allows you to edit more into the photos and change more stuff. That kind of changed how I started to shoot, understanding the holy trinity of the camera setup. And I really got that because it was the first available option to me when I posted in my stories on Instagram.
So if it was a Canon, you'd have probably bought
Probably,
that.
yeah, if it was a Canon, it'd probably be a Canon. Next from that is a camera I still have because I ended up selling the D3400. Is a Nikon D750.
One of my favorites.
The reason I got that camera was I became obsessed with it because I wanted more out of the D3400 that it wasn't able to provide, which was better details, which the 750s are full frame. I needed more frames per second, which the 750 was a whopping 6.5 frames per second in terms of burst photos. I needed a little bit better processing because if you're shooting multiple photos at a time, the camera needs to write to the card, and
that really would have had better dynamic range though. So
yeah. And if the camera processor is slow, it buffers. And I've had that issue when I went to a drift event and I was shooting and it just buffer. And it take how long to write to the card. Next,
one of my favorites again, which I think I kind of pushed you to get.
Yeah, I think so.
No. Yeah, Fuji.
The Fujifilm X-T2.
Yeah.
I also still have that camera. Now, I bought that camera with a zoom lens on it, but the lens had some fungus and it developed over time. I bought that camera on a crooked price. I won't state what it was. It was bought at a pawn shop. Went in there, saw it, and I had the money, so I just bought it. Still have it. And Fujifilm is a well-rated as well as also an underrated camera for those who don't know what the Fujifilm is. And my new camera that I shoot mostly with is the one that's recording right here. It's the Sony A7IV. And the reason I bought that camera is because I second shoot for Yannick, and the camera I'd normally use when I'm second shooting is the A7IV. And I also got to snap some photos while I was using it. I was like, God damn, being able to just switch immediately from filming to shooting almost instantaneously, and then whatever settings were left in the video, it doesn't carry over to photo, and whatever settings were left in the photo, it just switches over. So it was really cool, and it's a full frame at something like 33 megapixels, shoots 4K 60, really lightweight, easy to move around, and I'm now seeing more potentials of the camera, especially with the autofocus.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking at it right now and I'm seeing that thing locking onto your eye. Yeah. And yeah, one thing I'll always say, because I had Sony as well, I always give Sony its credit for autofocus. It's crazy. Killing everything with autofocus.
They changed the autofocus game crazy.
Yeah. So it's killing the autofocus. Now, from Nikon, well, we know that you don't use for those who don't know, he doesn't use the D750 to shoot photos. Videos. He doesn't use it to do videos.
Once. Yeah, it's shooting a max like 1080p.
That was fun, wasn't it? Yeah, so moving from And like, well, not to say moving, but you added to your arsenal a Sony. What triggered the move specifically to Sony?
Um, when you did the comparison in the game, for me personally, it was the better option. I got the Sony second hand with the battery grip and stuff. The price with all of that setup wasn't too bad. A lot of the people who were around me used Sony, so it was a little bit easier to be able to work along with the people around me using Sony. The autofocus, crazy. Um, the stabilization, in body stabilization and stuff, crazy as well. And it was just a good choice to make for the new purchase. So that's why
Cool.
I didn't do a ton of research.
I actually did a whole lot of research on it. Before I sold my Sony A7 III, I was absolutely going to buy the A7 IV. And, well, you know, I had a mishap with the lens. I ordered the 28-70 Sigma. Something went wrong. Lumix came out with the S5IIX, and that's where I'm at. And I'm pretty happy. The reasons he said would have been the reasons that would have been pushing me to get a Sony as well. Because a lot of the people, even the main person I second shoot weddings for right now, they use Sony, primarily Sony. And I'm grateful that they still consider working with me, because really and truly, even though I'm using Lumix, it is possible to match them up pretty close. I shot a wedding recently. Second shooter was using an FX30, and I was able to match up the clips pretty good. But yeah, when looking into cameras, that's one of the things that you need to look into as well. The market and persons around you who are willing to work with you or who you already work with. You need to see what they are shooting with and, you know, just kind of go in that line. And if I'm to be completely honest, I am actively looking to getting a Sony FX30 just for the sake of persons that I know that want to work with me, but probably don't want to go through the hassle of having to
I
convert the
can tell you
files and
though,
stuff.
the FX30 as a run and gun video camera for the price range, get it.
Yeah, man, I've already made up my mind. Already made up my mind. All right, so continuing on the topic in regards to your transition from photo to video. Sorry, guys, looking down at my phone for the topic or the questions. Do you think being a photographer first kind of gave you an advantage or a know-how into videography, or do you think like, well, you did say earlier there are two different entities, but in regards to working it, how do you think? Do you think it gave you an advantage?
Definitely. Um, Comes back to the holy trinity of the camera. That's aperture, ISO, shutter speed. Once you understand those three things, you basically can navigate yourself around any corner because they all operate using those same three rules or same three um, numbers. ISO being the camera sensitivity to light, shutter speed is how fast the shutter of the camera opens and closes, and the aperture, which is how wide the opening area that's letting in light to the lens opens. Once you understand those three things, you can pretty much manipulate how you use the camera. Photography allows you to understand those things, but on a still level. You can carry them over into videography now, but it's movement.
Yeah, there are a bit of differences.
There's a little bit of differences when you're operating these three things for videography as opposed to photography. You're also now taking into consideration um, shot placement. If you have an eye for it in photography, it applies to videography as well. Really and truly, videography is a bit harder. And the reason for that is there's a lot more considered or in consideration when doing videography. One is the setup for the shoot. That's one. Two, it's the shooting process. And three, it's editing process. And the editing process is a
whole different kettle of fish.
Ball game entirely. One, editing software is much harder on the machine that you're running. I had to upgrade my machine
twice,
3 times, 3 times, because the files I was recording on and editing were too heavy to be operated from the previous 2 machines. Two, the monitor that you're using, the setup, the editing setup, everything is just different, but similar. If you have a rig that's built properly for editing videos, you'd be great editing photos.
Yep, it'll be a cinch. One of the things about video editing is that, and I think this is Lightroom that kind of broke my bad, the sliders to just adjust individual colors. That's a thing. I think that's a thing in Premiere Pro. But
I've only ever used DaVinci
we are DaVinci users. DaVinci users.
Which is gonna take me to even the shooting format as well, because in the photo aspect of things, you shoot in RAW. It's only one camera right now that shoots RAW, and that's a Red camera. You shoot in a RAW profile, but
straight out the camera.
But for the cameras that we're recording on now, they're shooting a profile that's called log. Prior to shooting in log, I was very, very, you call it now, anxious. Is anxious the word? No.
Skeptical?
Skeptic. And kind of nervous about shooting in log, because it was intimidating to some aspect, because you see people color grading and you're wondering how you're going to get this washed out footage to look all beautiful. And just like anything else, it's a learning process.
Yeah.
So that was pretty intimidating, editing from RAW, especially with the color science straight out on Nikon. And then you're editing this washed out footage from files. Video to make it look all vibrant. And you just learn as you go along. So
yeah, I have to touch, I mean, we're talking about video, but I have to touch on those Nikon files. Like, if you've ever shot Nikon, you know there is no comparison when it comes to
probably compare
straight
Canon.
out a camera.
You could probably compare the
I
later,
won't compare Canon.
The later versions of Canon.
Okay, cool. They can go away. I'm sorry. I'm not a Canon fan at all. I mean, I look at their cinema line every now and then, but I'm not a big Canon fan.
No arguments.
I'll probably get some cursing for that, but that's fine. But like, there is this hatred in the market for Nikon. And
oh no.
Yeah. Potato. And I think it's, sometimes people dislike you, not because they just don't like your personality or whatever. They just think that you're so much better than them.
No, it's not that. With Nikon, it has nothing to do with the other brand users thinking that Nikon thinks they're better, or thinking they think that they're better than Nikon. I think it just started off with one guy deciding to say, out of a joke, let's troll on Nikon.
Potato.
And automatically, the entire camera world, they said, haha, that's funny. Let's do it too.
Potato.
That's it.
Potato.
Ask anybody, because it has happened before. People have seen my work, and they'd be like, yo, that's amazing, bro. Who you shoot with? Nikon. Ew, get away.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay. If it's happened to you before, ask them, why do you hate Nikon?
Yeah. And I'm convinced a lot of the persons who actually hate Nikon.
Why do you hate Nikon?
a lot of the persons who actually hate Nikon, it's somewhat biased. Not biased.
It's entirely biased.
They're just focusing on the fact that, and it is factual. Nikon took a while to get to the video game.
So what?
Yeah, it took a while to
Nikon
get
is
to the
for
video game, and
photography.
it took a while to get to mirrorless. Even though
So
some of
what?
the first mirrorless cameras were Nikons.
The DSLR is already damn good. It's just big.
Yeah, you can't do that. But no, and I love to see it. I am a Lumix shooter through and through, and if I'm buying the next camera, another 2 camera, one of the 2 is definitely gonna be a Lumix. But I am happy to see what Nikon is doing in where their new cameras are concerned, and the fact that they bought Red, so you know that there's some big stuff coming.
I heard
I'm looking
that
forward to it.
well, none of this is factual at the moment, but I heard that the newer mirrorless version of the Nikon cameras may be coming with an update that allows you to shoot
Raw?
in a raw format.
Mad.
You could probably check it out.
I think the Z9 already has it, if I'm not mistaken.
You
Yeah,
can-
that's where the lawsuit came from. Remember the lawsuit with Red? That started off this whole thing.
So they say, rather than pay you,
Yeah, I'll just buy you.
I'll just buy you.
I'll just buy you. That's a flex. That's a flex if I ever seen one. That's
If
a
somebody
flex.
decides for Sony in a life, try that. Rather than pay you,
Just buy them.
I'll just buy you.
Not sure how that one works. Though. Not sure how that one. All right. Sticking to the actual topic of today's episode, do you think there's a bigger demand for videos these days than there is for photos?
Yes. Instagram and TikTok. Can cuss? Can cuss?
Go ahead.
You.
Reels.
When I just started photography, photos were loved. No,
The platform shared them.
the platform would share them. They'd pop up on your feed. They'd like them. Now, the market has shifted. What's happened was it TikTok? Yes, TikTok. TikTok came
Yeah, I
out.
think TikTok started
TikTok
it.
came out, right? And people started to consume these
Short form.
form vertical content like crackheads.
Vertical content is another topic to
And they
touch on.
did it out of amusement. Because the attention was there, businesses started to market there. In marketing there, the demand for higher quality video format went up. Therefore, anybody who wanted to sell or market anything at all, to make some form of wave in the market, you'd have to shoot vertical content. Not photos, well, photos here, but not photos, videos.
Short form.
Short form, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Get to the point in 30 seconds or
Do it
less.
for the vine.
Shoot for a whole day and then cram it down into 10 seconds and make it spicy. What was
Yeah.
the question again?
Michael and I have a proper hatred for not only vertical but short form stuff. I mean, of course we can whip up something short form, but to be forced to put it vertical, like there are persons
Go always win.
There are persons who will see a landscape reel, black top, black bottom, and skip from it.
Scroll from it.
Yeah. But for real, I think I haven't done a paid photo shoot in years.
Events mostly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, this is another thing, right? You have to market yourself for the clients that you want to attract.
Facts.
Right? You have to post what you want to shoot. Now, depending on what you post, it may or may not take a longer time for the market to be created. Also, sometimes the market that you want to create may not be within your area.
True.
And by area, I mean Jamaica. For example, automotive photography and content creation is not appreciated as much as it should be, and I've fallen victim to that.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I shoot for, well, I don't shoot for. My passion takes me to a lot of automotive events. All forms of automotive events.
Facts.
Circuit, drift, drag, rally,
Good times.
dexterity. I do that out of pure passion.
Kinda we sometimes when I'm available. When I'm available.
When
Long
OC is
story.
available,
Long
him
story.
show up. And then the day before him boss and head at him.
Or me
Just
dizzy.
kidding, just kidding. He shows up. I actually have a few videos that he's helped me out with. But yeah, it pains me to say, but automotive content creators don't get the appreciation
Underappreciated.
they should from the people who benefit the most for what we do. I could go in detail about this, and I could break down what it takes
Not the
to
topic today.
show up to an event,
On a getaway.
whether it is you're driving, wherever you're driving from, that's gas, that's time. Some time you could have been spent doing something else. You show up to the event, you sweat for the whole rotted day,
Run up and down.
run up and down. Because I'm passionate about it, genuinely. And I do it strictly for my passion.
Remember St. Elizabeth?
You show up to the event either as it starts or before it starts. You shoot for the whole time. If it's an evening event, you're there till... I remember one event we left at like after 12, leaving from St. Elizabeth Junction, and you drive come back at Mobe, and you reach your yard like after 1, after 2, after 3 sometime, coming from these events. And sometimes you don't even get that thanks.
7:30 next morning.
And yeah, you might be doing out of your passion, and you might be doing it for YouTube and so forth. But sometimes these footages end up getting back to promoters who gonna put them up on flyers or repost them on them Instagram or different stuff. And that's content. That's something that if you were supposed to hire a marketing team for or a person for, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars
Big bucks.
of money being paid up front for work like that. So if it wasn't for the passion of it and my genuine love for cars, I promise you, would have stopped the automotive content in Jamaica. I would stick to weddings because
Paying the bills.
that's what pays the bills. Stick to photo shoots. And then once we get big enough, probably cut. Do it a foreign.
Now, something I have to go back on. While Michael talked about posting what you want to get hired for, I can talk about that. But you might notice that on his pages, you don't see wedding videos and stuff. And this will be another topic. And probably you and I are the best persons to talk about this topic.
Second shooting.
Second shooting.
No, me tell you.
Second shooting.
And everybody do that. What he's talking about is second shooting for being a second shooter, right? Oftentimes you're not allowed to repost these stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to who you shoot for. Not everybody is like that.
Also, just to make note, I wasn't complaining or anything. I'm just saying this is why you won't see certain
You have
things.
some people who not go want you to repost some stuff. And it can be out of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Safe to say, people who are like that normally lack a creative mindset and depend sometimes on the second shooter's vision to create the end result.
Yeah.
As a
I've seen
result
that.
of that, if you are supposed to use these footages and create something for yourself, because in truth, once you pull the trigger upon the camera,
Yeah.
unless it was stated otherwise in the contract,
Yeah.
once you pull the trigger
That's what
upon
I
the
was
camera,
getting to next.
you own the footage. Zine. So unless there's a contract that states I have the rights to the footage that you've captured, I feel your footage and you're free to do what you want with it.
And sometimes it's not just contract with the main shooter. Sometimes it's contract with the client
The
as well.
client as well.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things. It's a lot
Yeah.
of things.
So
Yeah.
I think, truthfully, what I'd like to say to that part, as a second shooter, there are a few things to take into consideration. One is you cannot post any form of official work before the person who hired you. You can hop on a wedding today and shoot some videos, and because you still have the footage, you go put together one nice little reel and post on your page for promotion. A week or 2 weeks after the wedding done, when the turnaround time is 9 to 12 weeks for the
2
client.
months in some case for the main shooter.
For the main show to be sent to the client. That's wrong. Two is, depends also on the type of relationship that you and the main shooter have. I know we're digressing a bit, but it also depends on the type of relationship that you and the main shooter have. I think it's something that we lack a lot of times. There should be tremendous amounts of chemistry between the main shooter and the second shooter, because during things happening, emotions can be up and down. You might do something messed up and the main shooter say, yo, don't do that, so yo, capture that, so do that, so do that, so. And if you're an idiot, you might think say, this. When in truth,
True.
he
just knows what he wants.
He know what he wants.
Yeah.
That's a person with vision.
Well, the question is, where do you see videography going for Michael Lynch?
Why four? I'm not gonna lie. I've gotten more to enjoy it. What I'd love for it to reach is, I'd love for my YouTube platform to reach to a level where it's much bigger than where it is, and where each video I do is almost like a big production. I've created my platform in such a way where the videos are attractive to major corporations. So if like a company wants to come on board and sponsor the channel and sponsor the platform to further the videos that I do, I've created it in such a way. I've made my image as well as an individual one that's marketable through corporate, and a lot of it, and a lot of my speech, a lot of the way I carry myself is due to my time that I spent in sales. So big up to that. I would love to take it to the level where my videos look better lighting, better sound equipment. I want to be able to do more things that feed into my passion, so I don't get burnt out by doing things solely because they pay the bills. I'd love for more of the passion projects to start paying the bills as well. And I'd love to take it to an international level where shooting in a different environment each time, and a different subject and a different topic
adds to the excitement,
so you don't feel like you repetitious
work.
And it's all work, and you get to your head and you just mash up.
Cool. Now, what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to start out in, whether it be photography or videography?
One, use what you have. Your best camera is the camera that you have in hand. Two, don't compare yourself to the best of the best. They started where you are. or probably lower. Compare yourself only to your previous self.
Facts.
Your past self is your comparison, and your future self is your benchmark. And 3, is be consistent. Be consistent.
That's probably the most important one. Consistency.
Be consistent. And take risks. When you feel burnout, take risks. It's never too early and it's never too late. Take risks.
All right, thank you for that. So this has been a very interesting episode. First episode where I'm in the same space as the guests, and hopefully there will be more. There will be more because we have topics that we need to touch on.
For sure.
Yeah, there will be more.
That space I can use to shoot a couple more. So.
Yeah, man. So, guys, girls, few. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like this video, comment and let us know how we did, what I can improve on for this. Subscribe to the Jamaican Car Guy as well. A bunch of videos coming out, especially focusing on the drift events around Jamaica. I'm all for drifting. All for drifting. Yeah, a lot of videos on that. Just go ahead and support his channel. Also check out Lynch Photography on Instagram. Of course, my Instagram is OC Imaging. And to share this, probably the first time sharing this, I have a wedding page as well, which is Weddings by OC. You can go ahead and see a video that I've done there, or I've posted there. Yeah, more to come, of course. And yeah, just thanks for tuning in. Again, remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'm OC from OC Imaging. I'm your host today, of course, and this is my guest,
Michael.
and we are out. Peace.